Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a night out would spiral into the most surreal confrontation of my life. My name is Ethan, I'm 39, and I've been married to Clara for 12 years. From the outside, we had a life most people would envy. A cozy suburban home, a dog named Biscuit, a couple of solid careers, and the occasional weekend getaway. But as any relationship matures, cracks start showing in ways you don't always see. And on that Thursday night, the cracks became a canyon. Clara had been distant for months. I noticed her phone constantly glued to her hand, the late-night texts, the sudden girls' nights she started having. I tried to approach it gently with calm conversations, subtle gestures. I even booked a weekend at a cabin upstate to just reconnect. But she brushed off my efforts as if they were invisible. That night, I came home late from work, expecting maybe a quiet evening, a chance to talk. Instead, Clara was gone. Her keys were on the counter, the faint scent of her perfume lingering, and the small note on the kitchen table read, "Out with friends. Don't wait up." Nothing unusual, I thought at first. Friends deserve nights out, I reminded myself. But instinctively, something felt off. Hours later, I got a call from Juno, her best friend. "Clara's at a nightclub downtown. She's really upset." I felt my stomach knot. I trusted Clara, but the tone in Juno's voice suggested something deeper than a casual night out. I grabbed my jacket, keys, and a calm determination I didn't fully understand. By the time I reached the club, the neon lights burned brighter than the tension I felt inside. Clara was at a table with a group of friends, laughing loudly, phone in hand. But the laughter had an edge to it, a defiance I hadn't seen in years. She noticed me instantly. Her smile faded into something sharp, almost challenging. "Then divorce me," she snapped, tossing her phone onto the table as if to punctuate her words. I froze for a second, feeling the heat rise but keeping my voice steady. Inside, my mind was racing. The last 12 years, the quiet mornings, the shared dinners, the laughter that had slowly thinned out over time. All of it flashed in a surreal montage. And yet, I didn't react with anger. Not then. Not in public. Instead, I took a slow breath, leaned slightly toward her and said, "If that's what you want, Clara, I won't stop you." The effect was immediate. Her eyes widened, disbelief cutting through the bravado. It was the kind of calm I hadn't shown in years, the kind that made someone pause and actually register the gravity of their words. She opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. If you're finding this story gripping, make sure to like this video so more people can experience it and connect with its lessons. Her friends exchanged uneasy glances, some whispering to each other. I stayed composed, letting silence speak louder than any argument could. And then came the moment that made the whole evening feel like it was unfolding in slow motion. Clara's confidence cracked. She stood up abruptly, gathering her purse, and muttered something about needing to leave. I followed her outside, keeping my tone calm, steady. "Clara, we can talk at home if you want. No judgment, just clarity." She laughed bitterly, a sound that reminded me of the woman I married and the stranger she had become. "You think talking will fix this? Nothing fixes this anymore." I didn't argue. Instead, I mirrored her energy with deliberate calm, letting the responsibility of choice fall entirely on her. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done if you were in Ethan's shoes? Let's discuss the different ways people handle these intense moments. Clara hesitated at the curb, her heels clicking nervously against the asphalt. I could see her indecision, the inner conflict masked behind irritation and pride. And that's when I realized something. For 12 years, I had built a partnership based on patience, loyalty, and quiet support. But she was testing the limits of that foundation in real time, right now, in the middle of a crowded street. I decided to stay grounded, to be the calm eye in the storm. "Clara, you can go back inside, or we can leave together quietly. The choice is yours." Her friends peeked through the club windows, whispering among themselves. Clara's face softened ever so slightly, just enough for me to see the human underneath the bravado. She opened her mouth to speak, hesitated, and then finally, in a voice barely audible, said, "Let's go home." I nodded slowly, keeping my emotions in check. This wasn't about winning an argument or proving a point. It was about letting reality speak for itself. The night air was crisp, and for the first time in months, the tension felt manageable. We walked to the car, side by side but not touching, letting the silence settle between us. Type the word clarity in the comments if you think Ethan handled the situation the right way. Let's see how many people connect with this approach. I won't continue beyond this midpoint until you confirm. We got into the car, the engine humming softly, almost like a metronome for the tension that still lingered. Clara sat quietly, scrolling through her phone again, but I noticed her hands trembling slightly. For the first time that night, she wasn't putting on a front. The brave, defiant mask was slipping, revealing a mix of confusion, regret, and fear. I didn't speak immediately. I let the silence stretch, letting her process the weight of her words, the chaos she had thrown into motion. I could feel the power of calm assertion working silently, the way truth often does without raising a voice. Finally, she glanced at me, eyes wide. "Ethan, I raised a hand gently. "Clara, before you say anything, just listen. I didn't come here to argue or lecture. I came because you're my wife, and despite everything, I care. But the way this night went, it made me see something clearly." She frowned, uncertain. Her pride was still standing tall, but the cracks were there. I realized, I continued, keeping my tone steady, that respect and trust are the foundation of anything lasting. And when one of those cracks becomes a canyon, nothing else really matters. You chose tonight to push me to my limits, and I stayed calm. That's not weakness, it's clarity. And now, it's up to you to decide how we move forward. Clara swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't think you'd stay so calm." I gave a small, empathetic nod. Sometimes silence says more than words, and sometimes the way you handle chaos defines the outcome. Tonight we have a choice, chaos or clarity. Which one do you want? For a long moment she didn't answer. The only sound was the soft hum of the tires on asphalt. I could see the internal struggle playing across her face. The anger, the shame, the recognition that she had underestimated me. Then she did something unexpected. She dropped her head, exhaling slowly. I want to go home," she said finally, her voice quiet but sincere. "I don't want to fight anymore. I need clarity, like you said." A strange relief washed over me, but I kept my composure. I knew this night wasn't about proving dominance. It was about restoring balance, respect, and mutual understanding. And in that quiet acknowledgement, I felt something shift. The tension didn't vanish instantly, but the path forward suddenly felt visible. If you think this moment of emotional clarity could help someone you know, share the story professionally with your friends or family who might benefit from its message. We drove home together, the car filled with a different energy than when I arrived at the club. It was calm, measured, reflective. Clara didn't try to talk excessively, and I didn't pressure her. We let the quiet fill the space between us, the kind of quiet that speaks louder than apologies or arguments ever could. Once home, we walked inside, setting aside the drama of the night. I poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to her. She took it without a word, eyes downcast. But there was a softness there I hadn't seen in months. It wasn't reconciliation yet, not fully, but it was a beginning. The first step after a night that could have ended everything. We both sat on the couch side by side. Clara reached for her phone, hesitated, then put it down. She looked at me. "Ethan, I messed up. I didn't mean to push it to that point." I nodded slowly. "Clara, mistakes happen. What matters is how we handle them. Tonight, you chose to come home instead of escalating further. That's the start of fixing the damage. Comment below what you would have done if you were Ethan. Let's discuss the decisions people make in moments like this and how they reflect their values and emotions." We spent the rest of the evening talking gently, the conversation careful but real. No accusations, no shouting, just honesty. We revisited our expectations, our disappointments, and, for the first time in a while, our hopes for the future. Clara admitted how her pride and fear had driven her to act out that night, and I shared how my patience had been tested in ways she might not have realized. By midnight, the storm had passed, leaving behind a calm that was fragile but promising. Clara rested her head on my shoulder for a moment, not because it erased the tension, but because it acknowledged the shared effort of moving past it. And I realized something important. Sometimes the strongest response isn't confrontation. It's calm clarity paired with self-respect. Sometimes the way you handle a crisis defines not just the night, but the years that follow. If you found value in Ethan's approach, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on the outcome, and subscribe for more stories that teach lessons about respect, love, and emotional intelligence. That night ended not with fireworks or dramatic apologies, but with understanding, a quiet acknowledgement that love, respect, and patience could withstand even the harshest tests. Clara didn't just rush home because of fear or pride. She came back because the truth had been delivered without anger, without theatrics, only with clarity. And for the first time in months, I felt the fragile but genuine relief of knowing that sometimes calm and self-respect are far more powerful than any argument, any confrontation, or any impulsive reaction.